Aunt Reed stood before the court as the official plaintiff, but Judge Judy quickly pointed out that she had no direct knowledge of the accident itself because she wasn't present when it happened. The judge explained that the real issue centered around Reed's nephew, who had borrowed her bicycle and was involved in a collision with the defendant, Mr. Fleck. According to the claim, the bicycle had been completely destroyed, and they wanted compensation for the damage. Mr. Fleck argued that the accident was entirely the young man's fault. He insisted that if the bicyclist had been riding more carefully, the collision never would have happened. Judge Judy then turned her attention away from the aunt and asked the nephew to explain the events himself, saying he appeared perfectly capable of telling the story directly. The young man calmly stated that the accident occurred on July 15, 2014, at approximately 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He began mentioning that he had been using a GPS tracking app at the time, but Judge Judy immediately stopped him, joking that she only needed the important facts and not unnecessary details. The courtroom briefly laughed before she redirected him back to the timeline. He explained that he had been biking from his cousin's house to his aunt's home, which was about 3 miles away. While traveling southbound on Van Nuys Boulevard, he had been riding properly inside the designated bike lane. Judge Judy referred to the diagram both parties had submitted and pointed out a large dumpster shown near the roadway. The bicyclist confirmed that the dumpster had been blocking the bike lane, leaving him with only 2 choices: either move into traffic or ride onto the sidewalk. He chose the sidewalk. As he continued through the area, the defendant's vehicle was entering the driveway at roughly the same time. The bicyclist acknowledged that neither of them could clearly see the other because the dumpster obstructed both of their views. Judge Judy summarized the situation as she understood it, then invited the defendant to respond. Mr. Fleck disagreed with her interpretation. He argued that the bicyclist had actually been riding on the sidewalk the entire time and insisted that the young man himself admitted fault because of that. Judge Judy immediately corrected him, pointing out that he could not truly know when the bicyclist first moved onto the sidewalk since he had been approaching from the opposite direction. She also reminded him that both sides had already agreed the dumpster was obstructing part of the bicycle lane. Mr. Fleck tried to clarify, claiming the dumpster mainly blocked the parking lane rather than the bike lane itself. But Judge Judy examined his own diagram and noted that even his version clearly showed the dumpster extending into the bike lane. The defendant then admitted that the dumpster had blocked his view of the bicyclist as he pulled into the driveway. Judge Judy immediately focused on what she considered the key issue: why the bicyclist failed to stop before crossing the driveway entrance. The young man explained that it was not a traditional intersection, but rather an entrance into a car dealership, so he simply continued riding forward. Judge Judy challenged that reasoning. She pointed out that regardless of whether it was a standard intersection or a driveway, it was still a roadway where vehicles could enter at any moment. She emphasized that the bicyclist already knew his vision was blocked and understood that a car could easily be turning into the driveway without warning. In her view, basic common sense should have told him to stop and check carefully instead of continuing blindly and hoping no vehicle was coming. With her usual sharp tone, Judge Judy remarked that if she had been riding a bicycle and couldn't clearly see around a corner, she would have gotten off the bike, looked carefully for approaching traffic, and only continued once it was safe.